Welcome back to Geek Philosophy. Got my co-host here, Clay.
Hey.
Don. And today we'll be discussing Star Wars.
Yeah.
The whole franchise. What Disney plans to do, what they should have planned to do, and a little bit of what we think we would have done better.
Yep.
So, I think let's start off with the last two. So, the last two Star Wars franchise has definitely been getting a little criticism from Walt Disney and other franchises because of the earning potential.
Yeah.
So, if you haven't noticed, Han Solo was critically acclaimed as a failure on the marketing as far as the fiscal time. And then right before that, Last Jedi got dragged in the mud for its storytelling. So,
yeah,
let's get really into it. Like, let's start with Last Jedi because I feel like Last Jedi, it should have been better than what it was.
Definitely.
I'm gonna go ahead and say that.
Yeah.
Like, it really should have been better. The fandom did deserve better than what we got.
Yeah, there were whole sections of the movie that didn't really make sense. That could have been cut out. Their old characters that didn't really need to be there. I know we've spoken before about. I'm not a big fan of. Was it Admiral Holdo or who kind of took over when Princess Leia was out of commission. General Leia, I guess now. And I felt like that character didn't really need to even be there, or at least they should have given it to a more relevant character that we all knew.
Don't say Akbar. We had this discussion. No, we're not doing that.
Admiral Akbar.
No.
I mean,
we can't have this man running.
You have no investment in that character. So no matter who it could have been,
there's almost no investment in majority of these characters. We have.
Right.
They're coming out with, all right, we're going to focus on 3 characters. It seems like that's what they do every trilogy. So those 3 get a no die pass. Yeah.
Well, I think there could have been plenty of other characters. Whether or not you agree with me that it should have been Akbar, I think there were multiple other characters they could have picked. That even characters from the from episode 7 or something, but to have somebody introduced.
All right, so the only really character because if we're gonna go play off nostalgia, the only other real character you could have really done that with would be Lando. And I don't know what they have.
That would have been good.
I don't know what they have planned for Lando in the next movie.
Right, and it sounds like he's definitely going to be back.
Yeah, so I mean that's if you wanted someone of equivalence to like really get the attention and to really play up the nostalgia, there's only Lando left. You've already killed Han.
Yeah.
Princess Leia you incapacitated with and gave her force powers for some reason. No training required. Apparently this is all DNA now.
Well, they could have also, to just bring that up out of nowhere, like at least give us a hint that she had some sort of force power.
Give her a light dagger. Just like a little light dagger she carries around just to say, like, okay, yeah, maybe she does a little bit with the Force.
By either way, she does nothing with the Force, and then she does something huge with the Force, and then you don't see it again. And it's just that.
Yeah, let's stop. After seeing that, let's stop talking about Luke being the strongest Jedi out there because she literally breathed in space and pulled us. Okay, spoiler alert! If you haven't seen it, we gave y'all 6 months to see Last Jedi. You should have saw it by now. But spoiler alert. She uses her force powers just to pull herself from outer space.
Yeah, and she's out there for a while too. So I think that that was an issue. I didn't really like the character of Holdo. So and I'm sorry if I'm getting that wrong. I'm pretty sure it was Holdo, but I don't really care. The sad thing too is I own every Star Wars movie, for better or for worse, but I have not made a point to go out and get The Last Jedi because it was this weird situation where I left the theater hyped because I had just seen a core Star Wars movie, and I enjoyed it, and then the longer I was out of the theater, the more questions I had, and the more it was like it had a half-life. It slowly started degrading.
So let's go ahead and grade this. Was it better or worse than the prequels?
I don't know. That's kind of apples and oranges. But if I had to pick, I'd say that I enjoyed. It was better than episode 1. But I think as a story and everything, I guess
I'm about to say, as a story, episode 1's kind of put together. It's better put together than this one.
Yeah, well, no, when you say that, yeah, you take out some, again,
Only
you take out
thing
some characters.
all you gotta
that
do is
didn't need
take
to
out
be
Jar
there.
Jar Binks. That's about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think each of the prequel trilogies had their flaws. Whether it seemed like somehow the CG in episode 2 and maybe even 3 was worse than episode 1.
Yeah.
And they had their character issues. But yeah, overall, it was a story that I was vested in. I enjoyed. And the one thing that still blows my mind with the prequel trilogy is that you had amazing actors in there, barring we can leave out Hayden Christensen, and even Jake Lloyd, the little kid. He did a great job for given his age, but it amazes me that they were able to get such terrible performances out of great actors.
That tells you that it was the writing. It literally, like, when I see great actors and actresses not be able to deliver, I automatically know it's either directing or writing. And
worst line in Star Wars history is, in my opinion, the Jedi are evil. It's like when they're fighting at the end of episode 3, it's like, do you really need that exposition?
Nah.
Like, it sounds like something that a 5-year-old is saying. Please don't let George Lucas have
ended
anything
Hayden's
to do with
career.
Yeah, what he had Jumper after that, and I think that was it.
Yeah, he was like, I'm not doing any more movies.
Yeah,
Y'all brutal. But back to Last Jedi, I feel like it was that part, and then there was also they didn't understand what to do with the characters.
Yeah.
I think after they revealed that, all right, for episode 7, we didn't really know who was going to be the next Jedi. Mm-hmm. It was kind of up in the air. It was honestly a surprise. We all, based on the advertisement and so forth, you literally thought Finn was going to be the Jedi that was going to be going through training.
Right.
And then we find out, it's
still Rey. Yeah.
It's Rey. And now they've kind of hyped up to a love triangle. And then when you take Rey out of that mix, in this point, because now she's trained to be a Jedi, they don't know what to do with Finn and Poe. I really felt like they didn't know what to do with them.
Yeah, I think so too. And it was also, there was that whole weird sequence where Finn and her name's escaping
Rose, I think.
Okay, the two of them go to the whole casino world, which I'm also forgetting the name of. But why?
Now you have another love story from out of nowhere. It was an awkward love story.
Right.
That part was very awkward. Yeah. I'm like, why are we doing this?
Well, it seemed like a weird tangent for the movie, and also another huge missed opportunity. You go to a casino world, and you're telling me that Lando's not there in some way? I was just waiting any second for him to either be running the show.
They must have something big for him in the next movie, because they are really holding on to. Because, like, again, he could have been that admiral that stepped up, or he could have been at the casino, or the Hutts could have been at the casino. Like, something
any throwback, but it was totally missing.
To really give a little bit more to the consumer. But no, we got hobo Luke Skywalker.
And we should also point out, too, that the entire movie is essentially the world's slowest chase scene.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the Empire slowly trying to gain on a ship, and that lasts 2 hours. And then you have that really awesome battle sequence and everything at the end. But I don't know, tons of flaws. I felt like you've had, that they've had years to figure this out, and then it just kind of fell apart. So it may actually be my least favorite Star Wars movie.
It definitely is my least favorite. But it really comes down to, there's several elements you need to have in a Star Wars movie. You need to have the epic adventure. Mm-hmm. You need to have the epic villain. I don't think it gave me neither one of those.
Right.
I did not get the epic villain.
Now let's concentrate on that for a second too, because I don't understand too. If I'm relying heavily on Episode 9 to fix some of the issues I had with this movie, and if it doesn't, then that'll be a real problem. But that could not have been everything that Snoke gave. I'm hoping that we find out that, because that was just too easy. I'm hoping we get to 9 we find out that if
Still
Luke,
alive.
if Luke can project himself across the galaxy and fake out everybody in that final battle, then
Honestly,
couldn't Snoke?
I think this is. We'll talk about that. I'm gonna hold that thought to later. I think he's done.
Yeah.
Because at this point you made the crybaby Kylo Ren from the seventh movie, which trailer wise, he looks so bad. He looks so ingeniously bad.
Yeah.
Then we get to the movie, we really find out he just has tantrums all the time.
Yeah.
And now we're to a point where he's in this movie and he kind of redeems himself a little bit from being a little bit, a very, very small margin. And that guy takes out the main bad?
Yeah. I don't know if they did that. The only other, if it wasn't a fake out from Snoke, the only other thing that makes sense to me is they just really wanted to set him up to be the final bad guy, but he's not totally bad, as we've seen from this movie.
We saw a little redemption for a little bit, and then he decides to go. I guess they were trying to go for shock and awe and say, oh, well, he pretended to be good, and now he's bad again.
Right, and we have to at least have some sort of backstory as to where Snoke came from. I mean, like, if he's that powerful, he's done this much in the 20, 30 years, where was
all
he?
The theories.
Yeah, mark my words. Episode 9, you'll find out it was a projection, and he's actually Darth Jar Jar.
Oh, God.
Jar Jar Binks running the whole thing.
I mean, there was one theory that he was Mace Windu. Which
would be great. I'd love to see that come back. Because there's a whole thing with purple lightsaber. I guess they kind of retconned this, but, the idea that Mace Windu had the ability to yield both force powers and dark side.
Apparently, his fighting style was the perfect balance of light and dark side. So this is the closest that Jedis have gotten to the dark side, was using Mace Windu's fighting style. And he apparently lost a couple of apprentices to the dark side because of his way of training.
Right.
So wouldn't be too surprised. But that's a very good fan theory out there. Fans just waiting to see if that's really true or not. The whole Jar Jar being the most evil Sith out there, it has been out there for a long time.
Yeah, I mean that's the funny one that I think would be ridiculous. But in all honesty, if I had done it myself, I would want Mace Windu to be the bad guy out of it all, the person lurking in the shadows, to come back, because he would have had that time to establish himself, hide in the shadows all the way through. Episodes 4, 5, and 6 could have been lurking in the background, getting everything together for this new empire. And the second that Palpatine's empire falls, he's able to take its place. But I just it'll be a total loss if they try and explain it as, oh, well, this guy just showed up somewhere.
Popped up out of nowhere.
Yeah, no explanation or anything. It's a bad idea.
I mean, could have been. They should have done is use some of the. I feel like Disney's scared of the canon that's out there.
Yeah.
All the lore that Star Wars has. Like, there's so much of lore that Star Wars had. They could have used anything. Even, like, the Star Wars Force Unleashed games. You could have brought Starkiller in this.
Oh, yeah.
Like, yeah, he's the...
That would have been a lot of fun.
He's the Sith Lord now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's anything that could have been like, well, this once was the apprentice of Darth Vader.
Yeah. So, I guess if we move on to the more recent film with Solo...
Yeah.
I don't really have that many gripes about it. I enjoyed it. I thought that it was in some ways it was absolutely better than Episode 8, and in some ways I even liked it more than Rogue One. But
I think the problems it had was it didn't get people to the theaters.
Right, which
I think we're gonna get the classic once it hits DVD or once it hits Netflix. People will be like, that wasn't a bad movie.
Right. No, I totally think so.
We didn't get what the movie was made for. The movie was made to make money at the theater.
Right. So, I mean, I don't know if we'll be able to see everything expanded on. I hope we do, because those of you who have seen the movie know that it's not that it's on a cliffhanger, but there's a lot of story still left to be told, and it doesn't wrap up everything.
Mm.
And I know I've said it before, but I love the cameo in it. I want to see more of that cameo.
Now, because this one's still slightly in theaters, we're not going to spoil anything.
Yeah.
Clay's giving his thumbs up. Definitely go check it out. But it didn't do what it was supposed to do. It was supposed to make money. And that's Disney. Disney's that mouse, when he puts the tie on, he wants results.
Yeah. I think, I think the biggest problem that I've seen is financially. They were saying that part of the problem was that it made back, plenty on what it cost to make, but they had this massive marketing budget for it. And I think they need to revisit, when you're doing a Star Wars spin-off movie, or even a mainline Star Wars film, people are going to go see those, I think. I don't think they need to blow, $200 million on getting people, to see ads and things like that. I mean,
honestly, I think they should rely a little bit more on the star power of some of the other people. Like, if we had found Woody Harrelson's fine, Childish Gambino, Donald Glover's fine. They got enough star power. Targaryens, they're all fine individuals, but you need something to tie back to the original story. And I think like making this like a flashback, and you have Harrison Ford right before he got killed, like just thinking about the days when he was younger, like something like that.
Right.
Might have brought a couple more people to the seats. Just a couple. It might not have been that many.
But that also begs the question, if they did that, would they want to put that in advertisement, or would that be more of a fan service for those who...
Honestly, if they use it as a fan service, you would have been talking about it. Everyone would have been talking about it, and then that would have got probably second week. Yeah. Second week, that probably would have got a little bit more buzz. But honestly, I think the success of 8 is what took people away from...
Yeah, I could see that.
The Solo movie.
So... but we'll have to wait. We have to wait another, over a year, right?
Yeah.
For episode 9. It's a year from this December, and we're filming this in June, the end of June. So I guess that kind of covers everything that's been going on with the past 2 movies in that franchise. But we have had some news this week that it sounds like Ewan McGregor may be reprising his role as a Yoda-esque Ghost Force figure in episode 9.
To me, that means 2 things. One, I love the idea. Let's bring him in to explain some stuff that's going on. Because there's way too many theories about Rey.
Right.
We need to close some of these theories. Nothing was answered in the last movie.
Right.
Nothing really. We had one... It sounded like a fake story.
I hope it's a fake story. A whole other problem with the last movie.
And 2... That means we're going to have a whole bunch... We're going to have to sell some more DVDs and remaster some of these old ones so we can put a younger Obi-Wan in those movies.
We don't need to...
We did the same thing when Hayden Christensen was Vader. Like, they released a massive remaster, and they put his Force Ghost in Return of the Jedi.
Covered up the original actor entirely. No, I think, this is a quick aside, but my only wish that they had done, they didn't need to do all that extra stuff, but even as a kid, I was always disappointed that that was the end of the original trilogy, and the only thing we get is a little treehouse party with some Ewoks. I enjoyed seeing, even though the CG was bad, I enjoyed seeing those final shots where you see around the Empire, you see the statues of Vader and the Emperor falling. It gives you the grand scale of what just happened. That's the only thing I think they did right with those remasters. Now, they probably should have waited a couple more years to where the CGI was good. But, I digress. So yeah,
what's it done? The CGI was great. This is the best CGI we have. And then...
So, since we've been trashing episode 8, I should point out one thing they got right, and that was Puppet Yoda. No more CGI Yoda. He was old school Yoda.
Well, no, they knew they were going to have an uproar.
Yeah.
That's the biggest smack in the face. If you ever want to really give it to the fandom, CGI Yoda and see what happens.
Yeah.
The fandom will be outside of Walt Disney with pitchforks and torches ready to burn the place down.
But yeah, I think I'm looking forward to seeing Ewan McGregor, both hopefully in a spin-off series, as we discussed in a previous video. Ewan McGregor is now the same age as Alec Guinness was when he did the original movie. So I think it could be a great idea. It's good timing for it, both from Disney's standpoint and just the overall real timeline of things.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you could add a lot to the exposition of episode 9 and fill in some gaps and help us right some wrongs from the last movie.
And since we're talking about Obi-Wan Kenobi, because of the success of the not success of the Solo movie, Disney has decided to put a little pause on some of these spin-off movies. Now, one movie they did come out this week and kind of rumor to that the Kenobi movie, Solo movie, will still be a go. But the other movies that they've been thinking about doing spin-offs on, that's X'd out. That's on pause right now. Not X'd out, but pause. So, and I think that's the movie people really want to see. I think if you had told me, if you put in front of my place, you get a Solo movie or a Kenobi movie. Yeah. I think most people would have picked the Kenobi movie.
I think so too. I think that for one, we don't need a Star Wars movie every year.
No.
Take your time, get it together, give us a polished product. And I could even see, I could even see them kind of alternating between maybe if they did an Obi-Wan, trilogy even, and then continued with a second and third Solo installment. They could do that. They could alternate, but it doesn't have to be back-to-back years. Just give us a decent product.
Yeah, I think Disney was really trying to capitalize the fact that blockbusters are happening every year. And if you don't monopolize those blockbusters, someone else is going to. So.
Yeah, but I think in the end they have the Star Wars franchise, and when you look at the hype that was around when Episode 1 came out, and you look at the hype that came out when Episode 7 dropped, those were, those two were, the difference between Episode 6 and Episode 1 was like 20-some years. And then, you're looking at, it was about 20 years. And then you look at the difference between 3 and when 7 came out. That was another, 10?
Another 15. I think it was another 15 years.
10, 15 years. So, they don't have to wait that long. Don't wait that long. But, we don't need one like this, in this case, where what we had, 8 came out in November, was it? And then just not even 6 months later, then we have the Solo movie. So I think that there's some fatigue that's associated with that.
No, and we're probably going to get to a point where we're going to have blockbuster fatigue. Not just the Star Wars or superhero fatigue. We're going to sooner or later have blockbuster fatigue. Yeah. But until that kind comes, I'm going to revel in it. But, so honestly, if they give me a little preview of what happened between what happened with Kenobi between Episode 3 and Episode 4, that's what I want my Solo Kenobi movie to be. If you give me anything other than that, if you give me him as a little kid being picked to be a Padawan, I'm going to throw that garbage in the trash.
Yeah, we don't need that.
I need between Episodes 3 and Episodes 4. That's the gap I need. I want those to be filled.
And it would be fun because they could do that, fill in the gap, fill in the story, old Obi-Wan, and while they're doing those movies, you could have, a nod to, it doesn't have to be straight up, right there in the middle of the shot, but you have Luke Skywalker on the same planet growing up as a kid. Yeah. You could see him in the background. You have, I'd love to see Qui-Gon come back as a Force ghost and help continue the training of Obi-Wan. That could be fun.
If they do that, I just want him to say, Kenobi, you will be taken.
That's a particular set of skills.
That was a particular set of skills.
So,
Liam Neeson, I love you.
I don't know. We'll have to see how that goes too. Now we also have some rumors coming up that Disney is preparing a full onslaught of 9 more Star Wars movies.
Now these are 9 more core
Star Wars movies.
Okay.
Over the course of I'm assuming at least the next decade or two.
It's got to be at least 50 years. I don't need that many.
Oh, I guarantee you.
I don't need that many in the next decade.
I guarantee you they won't wait that long. It'll be at least 15 years tops.
So all right, let's talk about the big elephant in the room. Disney, as much of a powerhouse they are, Is 9 more episodes just a cash grab?
It depends on the story. I think that if they're continuing the Skywalker saga, yes. We need something different. Break apart. That they don't need to keep dragging out the story of Luke and Leia and their ancestors and their descendants.
I can't think of, like, because without the... Let's face it. Space Wizards make this thing cool. Jedis make this cool. The political side is the side that people get a little bored with. I get excited for a little bit because
I liked it. Yeah.
I like the discussion between the Republic and the Empire. That's my kind of jam. But not everyone's into that. They really go for the lightsaber fights.
Mm-hmm.
So I just don't know if 9 more episodes, if you can do something with that, and if you do, and it's going to be core. I feel like it's cash grab. I honestly feel like it's cash grab, and that makes me wonder: did Disney pay too much for Star Wars?
No, because they're going to make it back.
Well, I felt like they already did make it back, but they're thinking about 9 more movies.
Yeah,
you can literally just relax and just make a whole bunch of properties on this. Like they did great with Star Wars Rebels.
Yeah,
Disney XD show, great. It didn't go right into the core, but it touched it, and people got a emotional connection with it, and kids were watching it, and that's how you just keep the money coming, because now you got toy sales. I don't know if 9 more is going to be like. I feel like at that point you've been buried the dead body, and now you're just desecrating on it.
Yeah, I think the only, I mean, in the end, we all want to see more Star Wars. I think it's just a matter of
how we want to see it.
How we want to see it. The one positive thing about them saying 9 more episodes is maybe they'll be able to do a roadmap ahead of time, so it's not just making stuff up as they go along, which is kind of how we got the original.
What writer wants to do 9 more Star Wars? I'm
sure there'd be a ton of them. Anybody who wants to put their name on that script.
That sounds like torture.
To
a writer, now you have to look over everything that George Lucas did, good and bad. Look at these last 3 movies, and you gotta make sure you come up with something better, something that's gonna be as iconic as Star Wars is.
I think
that's a tall task.
I think there's plenty of opportunity to try and fix and do better. I mean, some of the Star Wars movies don't exactly have the highest benchmark for the best writing or any of that. So either way, I'm sure there are plenty of writers out there who would be jumping on the ability to not only put their name to a Star Wars movie and get the paycheck, but just to leave their mark and try and do well for the franchise. But we'll have to wait and see. I doubt we'll hear anything about that until after, either right before 9 drops or shortly after.
I think they're going to wait till 9, and they're going to reevaluate. They might have things in the works, like start getting some storyboards together or something, and then based on the success of 9, I think at that point, someone in the CEO chair needs to look and be like, all right, we need to make a decision.
Yeah, I guarantee you they're working on them right now. It's just we're not going to hear anything about it until after we get close to 9 or after 9. Now I know we wanted to talk about our own preferences as to if we could decide the next spinoff. Mm-hmm. What would it be? What would your pick be? What story do you want to have heard?
If I was to hear a story, I want to hear Knights of the Old Republic. Mm-hmm. I want to hear about that great war between Jedi and the Sith. Like, again, I love the political stuff, and I think there's a little political between Jedi and Sith that I want to hear more about. Like, there's some ideologies and philosophies in there that I really want to hear more about, and I want to hear them clash, and I want to see it really go head-to-head with each other. Mm-hmm. And another thing I would like to see, I like to see more Grey Jedi. The Grey Jedi that say, I'm not Sith, I'm not Jedi. I focus on the Force and balance, complete balance. That's another side I would like to see. So if you want to give me a spin-off on that, that's great. But
I think as far as, for me, as far as just a one-off spin-off, I think it would be fun to go back to my personal favorite Star Wars game growing up, which was Shadows of the Empire for Nintendo 64. I think that's a great story that would make for a good one-off spin-off, something that would be a fun story to be told. But I have to agree with you, if we're looking at long-term future, if we had to pick not only a spin-off, but if we wanted the story for the full 9-story arc that's
if
coming.
You gave me, out of those 9 movies, if you say 3 of them is going to be really focused on the war between Jedi and the Sith, and how it started, got to its boiling point, and how it escalated and finished off, that's what I want to see.
Yeah, I say take it way back, all the way.
Don't give me Finn's children or Poe's nephew or whatever for the next 9. Give me Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah, just have not episode 9 wrap up everything that we've been dealing with since the late 70s with Star Wars, and then start anew. Don't keep chipping away and trying to make new stories and stretching things out. Let's get a whole new universe of characters in there. Something where they can sign people on for 9 films and give us a proper long storyline, and going back to hear those stories.
9 just sound like this is an astronomical number. That would mean that we've had 18 or 19 of these movies. 18? Yeah, 18 of these movies. We had 18 of these movies.
It sounds like a lot, but think about the MCU. Think about how many of those movies we've had since 2008. I mean that's even more, and
it's more, but it's not focused on one story. It's focused on individual stories that connect, but not one story. I feel like Star Wars, the last 9 movies have been focused on one singular story.
Yeah.
So, they said 3, I wouldn't be outraged. They said they had the gumption to say 9. It's a little outrageous, but that's my opinion. If you had a chance to fix the current state, what would you do?
Just the current storyline right
just
now?
the current storyline. Like what would you do?
I personally, I mean, I know they probably couldn't have done this given the timing of her death, but I would have rather seen Leia do something badass to sacrifice herself at the end of the last movie, and have Luke carry over into 9, because now I don't know how they're going to. I don't think she had filmed any of episode 9.
No, she didn't.
So I don't know how they're going to give a proper send-off to her character now. She's alive in that universe.
Honestly, that's the other part, and it was kind of bad timing. Like, R.I.P. Carrie Fisher. But I think that was the other part that kind of had people on edge in the last movie.
Yeah, you're waiting for them to kill her off the entire time.
Because that's everything that happened, I was like, oh, is this going to happen?
Yeah.
Is it going to get? Because you're looking for a tribute. You're really looking for a proper send-off to the actress. So
I don't know. I think that's, besides all the little tiny bits that we've already discussed with the more recent films, all the criticisms aside, that would probably be the most recent thing. Just trim some characters back that we don't, they're trying to push extra major characters on that we really don't need.
Yeah. If I had a chance, I would take a time machine. I'm going to reboot the mess out of this. I don't touch the original 3. But when George Lucas says I'm going to do a prequel, I'll be like, no, don't do that. Save that for later.
Yeah.
Here's what we're going to do. We're going to do a continuation. We're going to do episodes 7, 8, and 9 back in 2000 instead of working on the prequels.
Yeah, but then
make a different story. Yeah, I'm going crazy. I want a different story. I want Han and Leia to have the twins. I want that Dark Horse.
Okay, the
storyline.
What used to be canon.
Yeah, what used to be canon. I want that storyline. That way, all the actors are still of age, where they're not too old.
Yeah.
I feel like they got a little too old for this. Ended then, and then now when 2015 comes about, 2015 comes about. Now we do the prequels.
Yeah, I mean that could work.
Now you got the technology to do a little bit more, and then you can have a little bit more selected. The only thing they cast wise didn't, I think the only cast wise I would like to keep would be Ewan McGregor. I think he was a star of the prequels.
Absolutely, and the only thing that worries me about that scenario is then George Lucas would just find a way to screw up.
Well, no, at that point, Disney has.
Oh, So you're rewriting history.
Oh yeah, I'm
when they bought
rewriting
it a while
history.
ago. Okay.
Yeah, no. George wrote his prequel script,
Yeah.
and then Disney grabs it and be like, "We got some writers that can tweak this a little bit."
Yeah. Well, somewhere in an alternate universe that happened. I wonder how they turned out. So, yeah. Well, that's everything that I had on my list.
Yep, that's it for us. Tell us what you think. Tell us your philosophies down below. What would you like to see the Star Wars do? What would you like them to see not do? What do you want to see in the future? Let us know in your comments down below. It's Geek Philosophy, Geek Way of Thinking. Have a great day, y'all. Bye. Thank you for stopping by Geek Philosophy. If you like this video, hit that thumbs up button, put your philosophies in the comments, and also hit that subscribe button so you can be notified of all future videos. Thanks for stopping by Geek Philosophy, the Geek Way of Thinking.